It's okay for you to be a broke bitch. You can still be a little bit bookish. This is my bro bitch haul. Bro bitch haul. What is up, you beautiful, beautiful bibliophiles? Welcome to Keep It Literature. My name is Jude, and to be honest, I'm not very rich, and that's no surprise, but sometimes I got a ball on a budget. Reading can be an expensive hobby for a lot of people, and some of us don't like to drop $26 on a single book. Although it would be nice to get the ones we wanted, it's just sometimes life just doesn't turn out that way. See, part-time, I'm a rideshare driver. I drive for Uber, and at the end of the day, I always tell myself, hey, let's do one more. Let's make 10, 15 extra bucks, and you can go to the bookstore. So I travel my ass over to the used bookstore that's nearby, and I like to buy some books. But I want to get a couple books because, I don't want to drop $20, $15 on a single one. And so that's the reason that I sometimes shop around and find least expensive books, but with the ones that I'm interested in. So I came up with a couple. As for you, you get to check out the ones that I did pick up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The first book that jumped out to me was a sci-fi novel that I found in the sci-fi category. And it's by a man named Daryl Gregory, who I've never read before, but the cover looks fantastic. It's called Spoonbenders, again by Daryl Gregory, who looks a little bit like Brando Sando. But from the way it's described on the back is that it's a family of psychics, clairvoyants, people who can use telekinesis, who limelighted on daytime television, but they lost their powers. And after losing their powers, they relocated to Chicago, where soon enough they get wrapped up in a conspiracy, including the mafia and the CIA, and it just overall seems like a pretty fun read, and one that's pretty out there. I haven't really seen anything like this so far, and I just decided to pick it up, and a total cost of this book was only $5. So how could I say no? And I'm just really stoked to read it. Number 2 on my list, though, is another novel that has a very fascinating premise. It's called Life's Lottery, and it's by Kim Newman, who I've also never read before, but this is the first book that I've picked up in a very, very long time that's written in the second person perspective. It's pretty much a choose your own adventure novel. I'm thinking, I haven't really dove into it, but it was just too cool of a premise not to pick up. Maybe it's not good, maybe it's bad, but I'm willing to give it a shot because it might be a memorable experience. And one thing about this book is no one has the same experience the first time, which I think is cool because you can't say that about a lot of novels. Number 3 on my list, it's called Machine Man, and it's about a gentleman who replaces his body parts with machinery. That's pretty much the premise of it. It's not too deep on the blurb on the back, but it was enough to catch my attention, and for $5, I really couldn't say no. And let's get on to number 4. Science fiction, the year's best science fiction. More than 250,000 words of science fiction.
A lot of words.
And so I really wanted something that I could read stories from that was kind of bam, 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 not a long-ass novel that would bog me down. And sometimes you kind of need that little break. So I can't really say anything about the stories within this book, but I can say that I hope I really find some good ones that I really want to talk about. And if there are any particularly good stories in this book that calls to my attention, I will share it with you all because I'm the type that I really love to share. And I'm not going to hide anything from you, so we can expect some content from that.
We had hoped to learn more before sharing with you,
if it's good enough. And speaking of short stories, another one called Strange Dreams. This one is a collection of different books that are edited by Stephen B. Donaldson, who I've never read before, but if he's editing a book of short stories, he's got to be a pretty good guy. At least I assume so. And like the last one before, if there's any that find my interest and I find appealing, I will definitely share them with you because I am a sucker for short stories. Another anthology series, because I'm that type of guy, is Space Gladiators. Check it out. This cover is actually really cool. It's got that old sci-fi cover. This one's edited by David Drake, and it has a lot of different writers on it. Brian W. Addis, Ben Bova, Frederick Brown, Keith Laumer. I've never read any of these guys, if I'm being honest, but I'm sucker for short stories. And so I hope I find some good ones in this, because the premise of it is just gladiator fights in space. Think like Planet Hulk. And there's a lot of potential there for a lot of unique stuff to be done. So it really got me hyped to read that one. Asimov, Azazel. This one is also short stories, but it's not an anthology of different authors with different plot points. It's all about this tiny little demon about this size. And it just shows him going through life and getting into nefarious little deeds, and different stories were revolving around this little demon. So I'm super excited to see what Asimov does with this. I'm a fan of Asimov's other stuff, but I've never seen him take on fantasy. I've always read his sci-fi novels. So this seems like a pretty interesting premise to really get the gears flowing, and I'm super excited to read it. Number 3 on my book haul was Wicked. That's right. It's about the witch, the Wicked Witch of the West, and honestly, I bought this because the outside pages were green. That's pretty much the only reason I bought this, but from the blurb on the back, it's the true and in-depth story of the Wicked Witch of the West, who grew up in not the best of terms, but they really wanted to expand on Oz and the Wicked Witch of the West. Like I said, I bought it because I like the pages. I then looked up book reviews, which I kind of wish I didn't, that didn't really give it great ratings, and I was like, oh man, maybe I screwed up when I picked this one up. But maybe it is to my taste, because you never want to base your opinions off someone else's. You always want to read them and form your own opinions. So if I give a book a bad review or a good review, don't take my word for it unless you find yourself in similar tastes with me. If it's a bad book, to me it might be the world's best fucking novel to you, and kind of the opposite. If it's a good book to me, you might just fucking hate it. And that's okay. It's okay to have different taste, but that's just kind of what I've picked up from other people. Is it's not that good. I'm hoping they're wrong though. And second up to last, it's called New Pompeii. This book is by Daniel Godfrey, and again, it's one that I haven't read. I'm excited about it though, because what it's about is an energy type company have figured out a way to bring particles from the past to the future, and one of those things that they bring from the past to the future is the city of Pompeii. And the narrator kind of gets caught up in this conspiracy theory with the company, and it kind of goes balls to the walls haywire, and it just doesn't work out for everybody. As you assume, screwing with time and space might not be the best of ideas, especially when it's an ancient warrior race who is brought to a strange and very distant future. So I'm super excited to see the dynamic in this, with the old mixing with the past. So I'm super excited for it. It is definitely one that's really up my alley as far as sci-fi. And last on this list, and it's a book that I got for $0. Count it, $0. It's called The Priory of the Orange Tree, and this book I got for free. I actually found it. I hope it didn't belong to anybody, because it was in a laundromat and it was in there for about 4 days. And I've been having it on my TBR, and I washed clothes the first time, brought them back home. I was like, oh man, that was a book there, but it might have been someone else's, so I'll just leave it alone. And then I came back and it was still there, and I'm like, I'm taking you home. You're coming home with me. So I picked it up, and this one is by Samantha Shannon, and it's a fantasy, and honestly, I don't really want to read the back, because I've just had so many people recommended it to me, I didn't want to read the back, so I haven't yet. And I'm just excited for it because I do love fantasy. It's one of my top genres. As you can tell, all these books were either sci-fi or fantasy, and it's just, I don't know, it just seems interesting to me. I love the cover. Let's go ahead and go back to the cover. It's like this nice orange color mixed with a blue text. They really use the exact contrasting colors to really do something. It's got the shiny particles over the dragon and the words, so it really contrasts with the matte of the rest of the cover. And same way with the side, it has the shiny little particles. And as an ADHD boy, I'm a sucker for shiny little particles. But those are the books that I picked up, and all of them for less than $5. Oh no, they just fell to the floor. So I really got to pick that up. I need to organize them, put them on my shelf. But I really wanted to thank you for tuning in. It doesn't have to be an expensive thing to be a reader. It honestly doesn't. And there's no shame in going to a bookstore and buying used books for very cheap prices, because that's one way that we recycle. They don't have to keep printing those books because we're taking them to bookstores and we're recycling them. And if you're someone who has a lot of books and you want to get rid of them, consider taking them to a bookstore instead of donating them, because honestly, they'll give you credit and you can get books that you like in payment from the books that you donated. It's just a really cool cycle that we got, and not many media places do that. If you go to GameStop, they give you $1 and charge people $40 for it. And used bookstores tend to be a lot more reasonable with their store credit and their prices. But that's just a way that we can save some trees and have some fun while we do it. And if you want to see more book reviews, more book hauls and stuff like that, and you want to tune into my goofy ass, go ahead, drop a like and subscribe. It helps the channel, and I'm super appreciative to anyone who does. It gives me a little ego boost when I see a new subscriber, because I think maybe I'm doing something right. And it just makes me feel good. So thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And read on, my friends. Read on. Let's keep it lit, y'all. Have a good one. Thank you.